Hi, it's Megan. I wanted to talk about the Balm's How About Them Apples Lip and Cheek Cream Palette. This is $32 for 0.7 ounces. So it comes in a cute little package like this. Back, you see the 6 shades, and you slide this up. And I always like the Balm's packaging. It's cardboard, but it's so cute. And then you open it up, and you get, first of all, you get a great mirror, which I'm not going to really show much on camera. And then you get these 6 lip and cheek colors. I am a huge fan of cream blushes on the cheeks. I have dry skin, so for me, cream blushes, first of all, I think they just look more natural than powder blushes. They kind of have a dewy, softer look to them, and they blend really well into skin, my skin in particular, since it's drier. The powder blushes can look a little, not cakey exactly, but just, I don't know, I don't get the same kind of glowy, luminous look to them as I do from the cream blushes. And I feel like this spring, God, everyone's just throwing out these cream blushes. I've never seen so many in my life. Usually I search for them. I feel like they're falling on me. But I hate lip colors like this. I just find it a tremendous, disgusting mess a lot of times. And then it becomes a problem as, do I use a brush? Well, then I've got to find a brush, and I don't usually use a lip brush, so where do I find which one of mine's a lip brush? And usually, unlike this one, they're these little tiny things. I will give the Balm a lot of credit for making them bigger so that if I do decide to use my finger will fit in there and I'm not like scraping with my fingernail, because those little ones are virtually impossible, in my opinion, to use. So because these are bigger, I actually have been able to apply them easily even when I can't find a lip brush. So that's kind of my basic rant. Of these, I only thought one of them had a shimmer. Most of them just have a very smooth, creamy, slightly luminous finish to them. And let's see, 6 shades. According to the Balm, they say smooth finish, they won't streak or fade. And I found the blushes, the darker they were, the longer they lasted. They lasted about 6 to 7 hours on me. So that's kind of the problem with a cream blush. I find in general they just don't last quite as long as a powder blush. So a lot of powders will last a lot longer than that on me. But what I actually do and didn't do for the video, because I want you to see the color, I use a cream blush and then I put a powder blush on top of it. And for me, that's just the best wearability. And quite frankly, on me, it's the best finish. I just like how it looks better. The cream spreads very smoothly on my skin, and so I have it right here. What I'm wearing actually is Pie, and I'll describe the colors in a minute. I just think it looks more natural. But then if you put a powder or a bronzer on top of it, you can kind of even it out a little bit with the brush and the other color. I just like it better. It wears better. I don't have a problem with dry lips, so I didn't find any of these very drying on my lip. I did find that the wearability was not so great. Maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, maybe 2.5 with the darkest of the shades. And they do fade really beautifully. A really natural soft look as they fade, and it's an even fade too. So even though they didn't wear as well as a lot of kind of thicker lip products, and that really is what it is. These are light. They're light and creamy. They sit very beautifully on your lips. I have a hard time getting, when I use my finger, I have a hard time just getting the right coverage, but that's more my problem than a problem with the formula. It just is not something I'm used to doing. So I think the formula looks very natural on, and that's what I would say about this whole palette. Even though it ranges, I think there are 4 warm tones. This would be one of the cool ones, this would be one of the cool ones, and I'll describe it. So that would be Candy and Pie are a little bit cooler than the rest. The others I felt were warm toned. I also felt that most of them were just incredibly soft, smooth, and flattering on. A lot softer than they look in the pan, because they are this kind of somewhat sheer formula. So even though it might look bright on, it looked really natural across the board. There was not one of these that I did not like. And only one of them has a little bit of frost and shimmer, and that would be Crisp. So I will show you. I have outdoor swatches, but I'm going to show them on my wrist too. They also are definitely a cream. These are not one of those cream to powder things which have just been coming out lately. And you can kind of build them up a little bit. I I played around with that, especially with Cobbler, which is a very reddish shade. I kind of played around to see how that worked. And it's fun. It gives it a more natural luminous sheen than I think with a heavier blush or heavier formula. So I really liked them a lot. Cider right here, up in the corner. This is a very light color. This is the least buildable of the colors. You can see it on my wrist, barely. It's a very, let me see if I can build it up at all. It's a very, very light peach. More, I think, this is kind of a, peaches tend to be a little warm to cool. This is definitely a little warm to cool because it does have that pink shimmer and it has a really nice sheen. When I wore this on, I thought it had almost an ethereal look to it, but it is semi-sheer. So I'm lighter toned. People with a darker skin tone may not like it as much. The lip color, I'm not wearing the lip color. Actually, I'm going to do it. I should have brought a Kleenex, but I always forget that. I'm super absent-minded. The lip color on, and part of the issue with this color, I have really pigmented lips. So it's going to look a lot darker on me than it will on a lot of people because it is a semi-sheer formula. So it's pretty on me. I like it better, honestly, as a cheek color. And I like this one in particular by mixing a bronzer in. But I like the color a lot. It was a very natural peach. I have yellowish undertones, so peaches tend to be great on me. Cobbler is the next one. I was playing around with this one last night. I thought this one was really fun. It's kind of an orange red, and again, it has that really beautiful sheen to it. This one, I really was playing around. You can really build this one up. Not so much on the lips as on the cheeks. It's much more pigmented than Cider. And on the lips, this goes to my more wearable reds, because some reds, you know, they're just hard for everyday wear. They're just a little too bright. This one I think is a softer, more wearable red. So I really like this one. And I had fun playing around with this one last night. It's a really good one if you want to build up. And red, I'm going to mix it in after the next one so you can see as I mix it into my cheeks. Red is actually shockingly good on my skin as a blush. I don't really wear it as a blush very often, but it worked. The next one, which I took off, is Pie. And again, note, I have really pigmented lips when I'm putting on this semi-sheer formula. Pie is probably my favorite color. I thought it was going to be the hardest one to wear, which is why I like to wear the hardest one for the video, the most kind of crazy shade so people can see. So this is kind of a pink red, and usually pink reds on me are, it's a tough one since I do have warmer skin tones, so they can go good or bad. This one was a little bit more buildable than some of the others because as you see, it's a little bit more pigmented. And again, since this fell into the more pigmented shade, it was easier to build up on the cheeks and it lasted a little bit longer. So where something like Cider would last maybe, I could see it for 5 hours as a blush, Cobbler and Pie would be more like 6, maybe even a little 7, depending on how much I built it up. So I'm now gonna, so I had that on my cheeks as well, but I'm now gonna mix in a little bit of a little bit of Cobbler. And you can see blending it in, so easy to blend blush. So even though this is like a bright red, it looks fairly natural. It looks better actually, this one, honestly, with a little bronzer on top on me. Crisp, that would be right here. This is a very warm coral, and this one has like a gold shimmer to it. So it's got a frostier finish to it. I like this one. I like the color. I don't like the finish as much. Honestly, I like the other 5 colors with that kind of just sheer, no shimmer look to that. So you can see on my lips there's slight staining from the last 2 shades. This is really pretty. It's really pretty. Don't get me wrong. I just love the others, and this one I just didn't like quite as much. But it's very pretty. It's a great color. The coral is perfect, especially if I get a little bit of sun at some point. Given that we're in the beginning of February, although it's been hot here in Southern California, I've been avoiding the sun because it's not good for me, but this will look better in the summertime. But it's pretty. I just like the other kind of, the lack of that kind of frosty finish better. Candy right here, I love. So this is always kind of, again, oh, I didn't show these. Pie on my wrist. And we'll go to candy. That's pie. Next to pie, we'll do crisp. You can see they're both kind of a little bit in that same family. One being cooler than warmer than the other. Now we'll go to candy. Candy is just a fun color. It's like a bubblegum pink. I always think of this as like a Barbie or a bubblegum pink. And it worked on my skin tone. Even though it's a cooler color. So we'll put this on the lips. This one wore pretty well. Again, note the pigmentation on my lips, the color that's light. This is almost like muting my color. I don't know, it just reminds me like of Malibu Barbie when I was growing up. They're not the best colors for me, but they're kind of fun. I need a bronzer with a color like this. Absolutely, like I can look in the camera and go, I need a bronzer with this kind of color, but it works better on my cheeks. On the cheeks again, this is kind of in the lighter pigmentation, but it does last a lot longer than cider. So we're talking 5. These right here would be in the 6 to 7. This would be more in the 6. Hour range to blush, probably around 2 hours, fading at 1.5 on the lips. And then, see, I need a Kleenex. The last one is caramel. Swatched. And so it's with these darker ones. So there's caramel. This is kind of a orange brown kind of color, more on the brown, no, orange brown, I guess. It's, again, it's one of the warmer colors. I think it's in colors like this one and the 2 brighter ones up here, where a formula that's kind of luminous, sheer, semi-sheer, you know, not completely sheer. It's kind of that borderline between sheer and opaque where you're just crossing over from one to the other. Hard to tell depending on the color, because I'm getting good color coverage on it, but because it's not a really heavy formula, it's got slight little bit of translucent, whatever, slightly translucent. It looks more natural. So a color like this can be tough on me, and it's still not my favorite color. Anything too brown really doesn't work so great, but I still think they're pretty because they are softer colors. So overall, if you are looking for something like this, I think this is a really great thing to get. What it has going for it, first of all, cute packaging. And I do want to point out there are half-naked men in each of these, so if that's going to offend you or if that's going to turn you on, then yay or nay. I like the packaging. It's sleek, it's very light, so you can carry this around and travel with it. It's something you can put in your bag. It's small enough and you could brush up during the day. I like the formula. I like kind of these lighter formulas that border on that sheer but enough opaque coverage that you're kind of bordering between the two, because they work well on my skin tone. I like a little bit more of a natural look, and it means I can wear colors that maybe aren't the best for me, but might kind of go along with the color scheme of what I'm wearing that particular day. So I'm on kind of the warm to neutral color-wise, in my opinion, and so I can very easily get pushed into kind of weird directions where I look too cool to match the lips with the cheek, you know, all that stuff. For me, I like it just kind of matching tonally, and so something like this gives me a little bit more flexibility in the blushes I wear. I will not be using any of these colors on my lips, but that's a personal preference. I don't like palettes like this for my lips, but I really do love the cream blushes. On the downside, the lip colors aren't that long lasting, and this is not really something that's more convenient than a lipstick. So if you want this for kind of a lip palette, good luck. I'm not going to say that that would be my biggest recommendation, honestly, but if you want it for a cheek palette, I absolutely love it. And it's also fun to play around with different cream blushes if you've never used them and see what you like. I love cream blushes. They always seem to be left over and on sale, so, but it's the hot thing this year. So overall, I really like this product for what it is. What it is, a more natural looking cheek palette, not too much glitter, which is a nice plus, and you can also match your lips with your cheeks if you want. Good way to try cream blush. What I don't like about it is I really don't like it for lip colors, honestly. But I like the product overall a lot, so I'm really glad I got it. And I also like the Balm's formulas. I think a lot of their stuff looks really pretty and natural on, really soft, and the color tones tend to work well with a lot of skin tones. My daughter's skin tone is very different from mine, and her favorite blush is actually a Balm blush, and it's so pretty on her, whereas I can find the perfect blushes for me. And they are willing to use bold colors, which is kind of fun, and these are muted, they're muting those down a little bit to make them more wearable, so that's fun. Overall, great products. Suggestions, if you have it, if you don't have it and have questions about it, I would love to hear. And then if you love this as a lip product, actually, I would really love to hear that as well. If I were to recommend how to use it, I honestly would put a little bit of powder blush in there. I'm going to say that again. And I also do videos for my book, Get Your Child to the Top, a parent-focused education book. And I think that is it. And then I guess I do want to add one last little thing. I think these are great spring-summer colors, probably better suited to those seasons, given that it's like a lot of soft corals and pinks with a few bold colors thrown in, as opposed to maybe a winter palette, which is perfect timing-wise.